In the last episode of the Leicester series, I asked you guys for some potential transfers to bring into our side, and you guys came through. We've managed to secure a huge name for our side, amongst a couple of other players. A few players have left as well, a pretty big January transfer window. We've also got 2 matches to play in today's video as well, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Hello everyone, Jake here, welcome back to the Leicester series. We are now right at the end of the January transfer window on deadline day, but we have a match, and today's matches will be one match against Leeds, who are sitting in 6th place. We're at home, and then we face Norwich. But of course, before we get into all of that, we've got some new signings to take a look at, one of which we're going to see for the first time together, and another of which has been here for a few games and has done very well. And there was loads of transfer sagas going on at our club, huge players leaving, huge players nearly leaving as well. It was nearly a massive transfer window and ended up just being a nice improvement on what we had already. But let's take a look at our form since you last saw us first. You saw us lose to Copenhagen and then lose to Chelsea in the league. However, we then went on to beat Milan 4-0 with Daka scoring once, Vardy twice and Berardi getting one, meaning we topped the Champions League group as, well, winners. And it's meant that in the next stage, we have been drawn against Inter Milan, which won't be easy. In a Football Manager sense, it's still in a couple of months' time, so it's not to be worried about right now, but it's not the hardest match we could have got, also not the easiest, but who knows, maybe we can make it into the quarterfinals. Then after losing to Liverpool in the league, we decided to show up with a 4-0 win against Fulham, which was a massive result. Then in the cup, we finally got one over Manchester City with a 6-2 win of all things, only to then beat Arsenal 6-2 in the game after, with Jamie Vardy scoring twice, even at the grand old age of 37, which is exceptional from him. We then drew to Newcastle, beat Leeds, beat Burnley, beat Brentford, then we lost to Arsenal in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi, 3-1. However, we did manage to turn it round in the away leg 3-0, meaning we're now through to the Carabao Cup final, where once again we face Manchester United, who we faced last year in the Carabao Cup final, so it could potentially be a good time for us to get revenge, but nothing will be happening in the FA Cup this year. It took us 2 opportunities to try and beat Championship side Blackpool, only to draw on one and then lose in the next, which wasn't good enough really. But outside of that, we've drew to Tottenham and then beat Aston Villa very recently, and now it's time for Leeds and Norwich. I'm going to rush through quite a lot of this because so much did happen, but now let's move in to the transfers. One of our first signings at the club was Victor Nelson, a Danish 25-year-old centre-back. However, he's now moved on to join Atletico Madrid. Don't worry though, we've replaced him with a very adequate player, in my opinion. I didn't really want to lose Nelson. It was him or Wout Faes, but no one came in for Faes. Atletico Madrid, without me offering him out, came in for Nelson, and I thought it just made sense. We paid 12 million for him. He never played amazingly well, and now he's at Atletico Madrid, so a nice step up in a way for him, and I'm sure he will do well for them. And he's joined by another one of our players, Timothy Castagna, the Belgian fullback who is so good and so versatile on either side. I say so good, he actually wasn't very impressive for us over the course of 2 seasons, but he was very useful and has been good for Leicester since signing from Atalanta. However, when it came to his situation at the club, he had a year and a half left on his deal, and he came to inform me at the start of the January window that he was done. He wasn't going to extend his deal, that was it. He was going to explore his options at the end of his deal. Now, usually those things only happen a few months before the end of a contract, but knowing a year and a half in advance was actually a good thing because it just meant as soon as I was able, I let him go. I couldn't risk him going for free, so we decided to take 20 odd million pounds for him, 22 million exactly, and we have reinvested it into a right back for the same price, who I think is a better player in what I'm looking for. And that was Borussia Dortmund's Matteo Murray, who's been playing exceptionally well for them, having signed from Barcelona a couple years back. In the Football Manager world, he had a season playing 25 times with a 7 average match rating, and then this season played pretty much every game with a 7.23 average match rating. Very quick, very good going forward, excellent technique, and he can defend decently well as well, which is nice for a fullback. But I do like my wing-backs being able to get forward and contribute to the attack, which I didn't feel Castagna was doing, but I think Matteo Murray could be a great pickup. We're seeing him for the first time today. He's only recently signed for the club on deadline day, so we'll put him straight into action and see what he can do. But the big signing, and the one that you guys helped with, was in the centre-back area, which most of you, like me, identified as a position that really needed improvement. I got plenty of names given to me, scouted a lot of them, but none of them really popped out to me the way Antonio Silva did. Exceptional attributes, then you realise he's only 20 years of age, already capped for Portugal. He had a release clause as well of only £35 million, and he's been playing very well for Benfica despite his young age. Now, the only issue with him is his very high wages and the fact that he has a £91 million release clause. But I'm hoping it'll be worth it, and eventually we can renegotiate that. But what a player he is. Those mental attributes are incredible. Same with those physicals, and he's a great passer of the football and a massive upgrade, and is by far our best centre-back despite being only 20 years of age. And I really do think we've got one of the best in the world in that position in terms of where he's going to be in a couple of years. I think we're going to see him grow. I think chances are he's going to be one of our best players very quickly. But the other interesting transfer saga was Benfica and Kelechi Iheanacho, where they offered us 33 million. I said no, and then on deadline day, they offered 50 something for him. I think it might have been 52, which is showing up here. We accepted that. I negotiated a deal for Victor Roque and Broja from Chelsea, just in case we were able to get either one of them, and they managed to both say yes. We were about to sign them both, only for Iheanacho to pull out last minute of his Benfica deal, which I'm not too mad about. He's been very good for us since we started this save, so I'm happy he's sticking around. But I wouldn't have minded 52 million for the Nigerian, but he was better than the two people we were trying to sign anyway. I think he's a great player for us, so happy to keep him around. Overall, our players are doing very well. Calvert-Lewin is a star of the show, and despite being an ex-Everton man, there's been constant media stories about him joining Liverpool, and the interest has been there for a couple of months now. We've got Vardy scoring loads despite an injury-ridden season and being very old now, and Iheanacho is also playing well. Antonio Silva's been exceptional since he's came into the club, and it puts us in a good place for this Leeds match. So let's select our side for the game and see how we get on. So I want to pick our best 11 here just to make sure we do get a win, because Leeds are only 6th, and I didn't show actually, I should show that, but we're sitting in 4th place, which is better than where I thought we'd be, considering I don't feel like we've been very good in the league this year. It's kind of evident by the fact that Man City and Liverpool are so far ahead that this battle for 4th place is definitely still up for grabs. There's a massive gap between 4th and 3rd, but us, Arsenal, Leeds, Tottenham, Palace, everyone is around this mark to potentially get that 4th spot, so it could be a huge win for us today if we can get over the line. I'm going to go for Bayondir, Murray on his debut having just joined us, Antonio Silva, and I think Soyuncu would be our best partnership. Mitchell and Didi, Dewsbury Hall, Maddison, Hudson-Odoi, Calvert-Lewin and Iheanacho. We are good to go, and hopefully we can come out here with a strong win and some good performances from our two new defenders, because even though I've signed Murray to be what he's got in his contract as a squad player, for me, he's a better choice than Ricardo Pereira, who's been, without being mean, awful since we've started this save. Every time I play him, he just doesn't play well. He came back from a big injury, of course, in that first season, so we didn't see too much of him. But this year, whenever I've relied on him, he just hasn't really shown up at all. He hasn't been great. James Justin's having to fill in recently on that right-hand side, but now that Murray is here, I'm hoping that will help us out a little bit. But we'll see how we get on. Here we go with the first highlight against Leeds, 16 minutes in, and it's Illan Meslier. He lumps it forward and it goes straight over Antonio Silva at the back, which isn't a great sign from our new centre-back, but he has been playing very well, and overall the team has been in very good form. I mean, if you take away that Blackpool Cup win, which was a little bit embarrassing, I still think we've done very well. Everyone is performing at a pretty high level other than Pereira, who I mentioned. We do have a highlight just before half-time. There's kind of been nothing happening, and it's Calvert-Lewin at the near post heading it just over. That would have been good, but so far it's not been the best first half for us. Considering we're at home, you'd expect us to be really piling on the attacking pressure. Not quite going that way, but good to see the one standout player is the young 20-year-old centre-back. You'd hope he'd play well for the amount of money that he's on, but it is good that he is performing. I haven't been able to see how Murray's doing just yet, but this could be a good chance for us here. With James Maddison taking a shot, it's blocked, it falls to Iheanacho, he scores. Very poor goalkeeping from Meslier, and they're trying to disallow this currently. I don't think there was anything wrong with that though. Let's have a look. Goal review, it hasn't said anything, so I'm going to assume it's counted. Let's have a look at how Matteo Murray is playing for us. He's currently on a 6.5, so not very well. Clearly, right-backs aren't favoured in this tactic, and maybe it's actually the role that needs switching up. But for me, wing-back on support, it should be fine. It's his first game, though. He's only just arrived in Leicester, and he's been forced straight into the lineup. Maybe not a good idea on my end. I just want to get him started in a Leicester shirt and see how well he can do. Here he is now, though, on a booking, manages to pick up the ball and knock it back to Soyuncu, then to Antonio Silva. I've got to admit, Murray was not my first choice right back. We nearly signed Lamptey, we nearly signed Dest, We also were in for Moise Caicedo again at one point, but he's decided to sign a new deal with Brighton and now has a release clause of 70 million, and we just didn't have the money to spend 70 million pounds on him. Lamptey was a similar situation. We were in for him for 20 odd million, looked like we might have a chance, then all of a sudden Man City came in with 36.5. Now he's gone to Manchester City to warm the bench, and we won't see him ever again, even though I was pretty certain over the last couple of seasons that he was going to be our long-term right back. We were scouting him for a long while, but Antonio Silva doing very well there. Number 99 he's got on the back of his shirt, by the way, the 20-year-old. He's obviously got a lot of confidence, but here's Joe Aribo with the long shot just over the bar. 60 minutes in, and we haven't exactly been convincing yet, and it might be time to make some subs. Are we about to go to 1-1 though? It's a Sinistera free kick from the edge of the box. Can Bayandir do something to stop it going in? He doesn't. He kind of pushes it into his own net, but you know from Football Manager that that's going to go in as soon as he gets the free kick in that area. But let's make some subs and see if we can change the game a little bit. I've got Shoulder Up coming on, Patson Daka coming on, James Justin as well I'm going to bring on to try and make an impact. Outside of that, I'm not too confident any of the others could really give us anything right now. Yes, I have taken Matteo Marai off. It was a bit of a shocker of a first game, but I'm not going to put that on him based on the fact that he hasn't even trained with us yet. So that's more my fault for actually putting him on the pitch. But I just wanted to test him out. But either way, 70 minutes on the clock. We really do want to win here if we want to keep those top four hopes strong. And I might go very attacking just to see if we can get anything. I've just brought Harvey Barnes on and Ricardo Pereira, then switched just into the other side. Hopefully it will give us something, but I'm really not sure this game is going to work out the way we want because I can't think of any chances other than the tap-in goal. But there's Daka at the back post and he's hit the crossbar. I don't know how. I thought that was an easy goal for him there. He rose, he had no one around him, an easy header, but he doesn't quite make it. And it might be a 1-1, even though look at that XG. Oh, that's horrible. By the way, stick around for a second because I've just remembered something that I want to show you about the Blackpool game. I still don't understand how it happened, but anyway, let's just focus on this Leeds game right now. It's a 90th minute and it's Patrick Bamford bursting forward for Leeds. We're giving him far too much space, even though the ball's there to be won. He's ran the whole length of the pitch. That was awful defending from us. Allowed him to get the shot off, and it's a good job. It was a rubbish shot, to be honest. But 2.44 XG, we really should be scoring more than one goal. And that's been a story of how we're playing recently, not scoring as many goals as we should be. The reason I mentioned that Blackpool match, by the way, just to show you, we had 25 shots, 8 shots on target and a 1.62 XG. So all of the shots weren't great, mind you, but we had 25 of them. Blackpool had 1 shot, 1 on target, 0 XG, so it had no chance at all of going in. And still they somehow came out with a win with 29% possession. Very, very annoying. But now it's time to move on to that Norwich game and hopefully we can put a few more goals past the opposition this time. We're going for a very, very highly changed side for this match against Norwich today. It's going to be Bayandir in goal still, but a new back four of Justin, Satalo, Fez and Thomas, a midfield of Berger and Sumare. Going forward, we've got Maddison who stays, Hudson-Odoi, Daka and Shoulder Up. I feel like Hudson-Odoi could be Harvey Barnes. Yeah, so it's a very rotated team, which makes sense because we did only play a couple of days ago. But the problem is this is also the rotated side pretty much that couldn't get a goal past Blackpool. Maybe not the best sign, but who knows? Maybe we can get a win here. Don't forget, if you are enjoying, to smash the like button and subscribe for more. You guys have been phenomenal in your support of this series, and the channel is going from strength to strength. Currently, at the time of recording, it says over the last 28 days, we have gained 1,000 subscribers, which is awesome. But I want it to keep going so we can get as close to my goal by the end of FM24 of 25k, which I know seems a lot because we've only just made 10,000 subscribers. But I've got my ideas. And by the end of, did I say end of FM24? I mean, when FM24 comes out, I want to have 25,000 subscribers, which is a very, very long stretch. But I reckon we can get there if you guys keep showing your support. For a second, I'll forget about that because we might have scored a goal, and we have. Is Andreas Shoulder Up, who is playing as a striker today and manages to score for us. He always does a good job when asked to play in that forward position. Patson Daka played the ball through to him, and it was a close finish at the near post. But yeah, one thing I want to say, I checked the other day, and on the last episode which came out, bear in mind we're 9 episodes in, something like 45% of people still weren't subscribed. So if you are one of those people who are watching but haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free to do. You can change your mind at any point, and I would greatly appreciate it. And it also means I can shut up and stop talking about these kind of things and focus on Football Manager, which I guess is what I should be doing because we are in a match here against Norwich where we need to win, but so far so good. Dominant in terms of possession. Chances are, I suppose, in our favour, all because of that shoulder up chance. And we're winning 1-0, which is the main thing. We managed to get the ball in the back of the net. Patson Daka here, though, trying to go for a second goal. That would be very nice, but he doesn't end up getting there. And it's Norwich who lump the ball forward, but we do pick the ball up. Fez and Satalo, not a bad centre-back partnership to have on the bench. But Josh Sargent's got room to run into here. Luke Thomas, though, does well. Yeah, Luke Thomas, you might have forgot about him. We brought him back off loan before we signed Matteo Marai because I thought we're going to need an extra fullback. And then we didn't have a chance to loan him back out, which was a bit annoying. Timo Pukki scores there. Please tell me he was offside. I feel like he was. He was, yes. But I couldn't get Luke Thomas back out on loan when we no longer needed him. So he's in and around the club. But by all accounts, he should be a very good left back for us. So he will get the chance here and there to try and impress. Here's Harvey Barnes bursting forward. He hasn't had much of a chance this season, but never does too badly when called upon. He's been a standout player, though. This man you see in there, Boubakary Samare, getting better and better in that roaming playmaker role, and arguably he's had a better season than Dewsbury Hall when it comes to playing in that position. Moving into the second half, though, we've been pretty dominant in this match. Norwich not doing too much in terms of a threat to us, but I feel like we do need that second goal because we haven't really had another key chance outside of that one from shoulder up, and it is Joseph Satalo, who I think gets his first ever goal for the club, maybe. I think that is right. It's a header, a poor save from Tim Krul, who I don't know how he's still playing football. I feel like he's been around forever. Maddison plays it in. Satalo, yeah, Krul should do a lot better with that, but we're not complaining. 60 minutes in, we have a 2-0 advantage, and that will hopefully be enough to get us the 3 points here, but you never know in the Premier League. I'd take more goals, though. We could really get some confidence going if we can score a few. Just get a few people on the score sheet, different players, just to gain some confidence for them. But it looks like it's going to be a Norwich chance here because they're building the ball up very well. They've got Max Aarons at right back, who's a player we've been interested in. Maybe not after that pass, though. He's giving it straight to us. Maddison onto Daka. Daka's gone out wide. He's going to try and play the ball in. I'm not sure we've got much of an aerial threat in there, but Barnes says otherwise. It comes in to Samare with a very, very good finish to make it 3-0. Powerful shot on his left foot, drives it into the back of the net, and that is certainly now game over. I don't see any way for Norwich to get back into this match. I thought Daka had kind of messed it up, going so far out wide here. The cross weren't great, let's be real, but Barnes does well, and Samare finishes very, very well there, and that is now 3-0 up. Going to start making some changes just to save people some legs here. So we're going to bring on Pereira. Who else can get some game time? Let's give Will Alves a game and let Samare have a well-deserved rest. James Maddison can come off for Hudson-Odoi as well, and I think with that, I'll probably just leave the team as it is for the rest of the game. These players won't play all that often, the ones are on the pitch, so this is a good time now for them to get game time. Sanderberg still trying to come back from injury this year. Doesn't seem to be working out, but I'm going to try and get him 90 minutes under his belt. Maybe we could even get a goal for Will Alves. He's a youngster, I mentioned him last episode, who's been playing here and there for us, getting better and better in his role. Never really seems to have much of an impact in the game, but then it's hard for a roaming playmaker to do so, unless you're Samare, of course, who's had a stormer today. So it would be nice if we could get him on the score sheet. What I really wanted was to keep that clean sheet, and we've lost it there. A really poor goal to concede, just a long ball over the top. Wout Fez lets it go. Timo Pukki runs in behind, and he has the whole goal to aim at. Bayandir did what he could to close the space, but no, that's poor from Fez. Pukki has time to turn and run past him before Fez even realises the ball's been kicked in the air, so that's poor from him. I did say the game was over, but Norwich are coming forward in the 84th minute. Pereira does well to intercept it. We just need to make sure we don't get complacent here. There is Will Alves, the youngster, playing it to another academy product in Luke Thomas. Has he got the passing range, Alves? No, he's just going to go back to Wout Fez, but this is fine right now. But I am a bit worried as to why we're seeing this. I'm hoping Norwich aren't about to break away. We've just got to keep the ball moving forward. The more we keep it at the back here, the more worried I get. But Wout Fez is going to try and play it forward, and he does, to Ricardo Pereira. Ricardo Pereira with a good ball through to Patson Daka. It's a poor touch, but then a brilliant finish at the end of it. I thought that was too much for him to do after that bad first touch, but he does enough there to clip it over the keeper. That's 4-1, and now we can relax a little bit again. Great ball from Pereira, to be honest, but it's a really good run from Daka. Like I say, that first touch there, you think, oh, it's gone, he can't do anything. And it's a brilliant finish from him. He, out of the four strikers of Iheanacho, Calvert-Lewin and Vardy, has had the worst season of the bunch so far. But he's still scoring goals. It's just that everyone seems to be scoring in those forward positions. We've got no real weak striker, and I'm happy to call upon any of them in any kind of combination, in any game really. And I think they'd all do a very good job, which is a nice situation to be in. The only problem is, though, of course, Vardy's been a big part of our goals this year. 10 plus goals from him already. but he is 37, his contract is expiring at the end of this year, and he currently doesn't want to sign a new deal because he wants a 3-year deal, and I said no because you're 37. I tried to offer him a 1-year deal, and it just wasn't working. So we're going to see what situation that ends up with. But there's shoulder up, he scores, and that will be a Will Alves assist if it does count, which would be great. But yeah, the Vardy situation is an interesting one, and who knows what's going to happen there. Maybe we need to start planning for life without Jamie Vardy, and it's been disallowed, which is a bit unfortunate because it was a nice ball through and a very good finish from the two youngsters combining there, Alves and shoulder up. Very close. Every time I think the game's going to be over, it keeps on going, and now it's another chance for Norwich with Rowe getting in behind. He opens up his body, fires it into the top left corner, and we've conceded 2 in the last 10 minutes to lose our clean sheet. And it's a good job we did get that 4th, else we'd be very nervous right now. But pretty poor from us to let our concentration go at the end of the game, considering Norwich have only got 0.51 XG, 2 shots on target, to score twice. It's a bit worrying, but anyway, we won't care too much. We come out with 3 points. That means we're in 4th place now, 2 points clear of Arsenal, same amount of games played as everybody else. And we're not too far away from Chelsea, but realistically, this 4th spot is what we're going to be battling for this year, and hopefully we can go quite deep in the Champions League, and maybe even add a Carabao Cup to our trophy cabinet this year. But there we go everyone, that is the end of today's episode. If you did enjoy it, smash the like button for me and subscribe for more, but most of all, have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and goodbye.